everyone, this is A Moment in History with me, Kyla.
And me, Mayuri.
And this week we'll be delving into the late 19th century literature and art.
Today we will explore different art movements such as Impressionism, Post-Impressionism, and Cubism with an interview from Vincent van Gogh as well as Pablo Picasso in action.
That will be followed by a picture montage of all the major art movements of the 19th century.
Later on the show, Kyla and I will present our favorite pieces of literature that we picked for our book club.
And we will bring in experts to compare and contrast two of the most influential writers of the 19th century, Charles Dickens and Honoré de Balzac.
But first, let's have our first interview with Vincent van Gogh.
And here comes Mr. Van Gogh now. It's a pleasure having you on the show.
No, the pleasure's all mine.
Let's get started. What first motivated you to want to become a painter?
Well, I wasn't supposed to be a painter when I was little. Growing up, my father was a pastor, so I was surrounded by religious and cultural influences throughout my life. But in 1879, I was working at a missionary when I realized art was my true passion. I was sketching anything I laid my eyes upon. Then when I was 32, I created my first piece, called The Potato Eaters. Things really took off from there, when at the age of 33, I traveled to Paris to reconnect with my brother, Theo, who was the manager of an art gallery. In Paris, I met up with some other famous painters, such as Monet and Pissarro, when my paintings started to follow the impressionistic style of the 19th century.
And how would you describe your style of art?
I would say my paintings are dark, powerful, dramatic, and full of imagination and emotion. When I am painting, I try to let the spiritual essence of man and nature guide me to a finished project, and it's worked so far.
Wow, you are such a fascinating man.
Thank you.
May I ask, what happened to your ear?
Everyone always asks me that. Well, one night in 1888, one of my partners, Go Jin, wanted to leave the group of painters that I was in and pursue other interests elsewhere. So I did the natural thing and I followed him with a razor, and in the process, I cut off a part of my ear, and things kind of snowballed from there when I was put into an insane asylum because I was crazy. Then when I got out, I supposedly shot myself, and that's pretty much the end of my story.
Well, that is amazing. Let's give a round of applause for Mr. Van Gogh.
He's so amazing!
And we'll be right back after this commercial break. Come on over and spend your time at the fabulous Folie Bergère Bar and Nightclub in Paris. This is your chance to be as classy as the wealthy and let all your worries disappear. Drink some wine, eat some food, and meet the most beautiful girls that serve your every whim. We promise you that this will be a night that you will never forget.
And now, we have a live-action piece from Pablo Picasso. Pablo Picasso was born on October 25, 1881 in Magallanes, Spain. His father, José Ruiz Blasco, was a professor in the School of the Arts and Crafts. The years between 1901 and 1904 were known as Picasso's Blue Period, during which nearly all of his works were executed in somber shades of blue and contained lean, dejected, and introspective figures. The pervasive tone of the pictures is one of depression. Their color is symbolic of the artist's personal hardship during the first years of the century. Years where he occasionally burned his own drawings to keep warm, and also the suffering which he witnessed in his society. Two outstanding examples of this period are The Old Guitarist in 1903 and Life, also in 1903. Les Demoiselles d'Avignon is a painting that Picasso is painting at the moment. It is regarded as the first Cubist painting. The human figures in their surrounding space are reduced to a series of broad, intersecting planes which align themselves with the picture surface and imply a multiple dissected view of the visible world. The faces of the figures are seen simultaneously from frontal and profile positions, and their bodies are likewise forced to submit to Picasso's new and radically abstract pictorial language. Impressionism carries a spirit of innovation that has been unseen until now. The artists use vibrant colors that mix a little to emphasize the vibrant colors, and it is not often that they use black. This painting by Claude Monet, is a sunset at Lava Court, is the epitome of Impressionism. Not only does he pay attention to the light of the painting, but the outdoors, which makes an unconventional piece of work. In this next piece, Monet spent around a decade finishing it, traveling to this spot during the winter at different times of the day. In a bridge over the Thames, he was able to capture the atmospheric changes of the fog over the bridge. While Impressionists painted the effects of color and light, Post-Impressionism was about breaking the mold set by society and creating paintings with broken color and different shades of life. This style of painting caused a more emotional painting like this painting by Paul Cézanne, Card Players. Three Dancers in Violet Tutus is an extraordinary piece of work by Edward Degas. It is painted in a free expressive style with bright colors. This painting, Springtime, by Claude Monet, shows his family in an orchard garden that plays with both violets and blues. It exemplifies how Impressionists were criticized for violetomania, or seeing blue. This piece is A Woman with a Parasol, Madame Monet and Her Son by Claude Monet, where he again puts emphasis on light.
Everybody, although you may not know, the TV may not show, a book I have published, it must be on your list. Miss Dalloway is its name, I'm sure it will be famed, so head on over now, I must be going chow.
Now it's time for our book club.
We just wanted to introduce some of our favorite books that were hot back then and bring in some experts to talk about them as well.
Some authors we love are Flaubert, Zola, Ibsen, and Shaw.
These authors were realists and naturalists. They tried to reveal the truth about the middle-class society and morality.
They confronted readers with harsh realities like never before.
Flaubert was a French novelist who is the writer of the realist novel and is most famous for his book Madame Bovary.
Zola was another French novelist who became a proponent of French naturalism. We don't recommend a certain book from him, but we believe he deserves an honorable mention because he has set these two movements in action.
Ibsen and Shaw were also two amazing writers. Ibsen is most famous for his novel, A Doll's House, where he attacked the sentimentality of an ideal woman and the cloak of respectability that hung over the middle-class family.
Shaw was a great supporter of Ibsen, and a book we love from him is Mrs. Warren's Profession, where he deals with the controversial topic of prostitution.
That's the depth of our knowledge, so we brought in an expert to compare and contrast our next two authors.
Please welcome Dr. Price.
So Dr. Price, let's talk about Charles Dickens.
Okay, I am Dr. Price, and I am an English professor at Harvard University. Charles Dickens was a great man. He was born in Portsmouth, England, 1812. Charles Dickens later became one of the greatest novelists in the Victorian era because he questioned the assumptions and institutions of the 19th century British society. His early education came from his mother, who taught him how to read and write. At the age of 15, Dickens managed to teach himself, and he got a job as a court reporter, which gave him a great respect for journalism, British law, and Parliament. Dickens wrote plays, essays, travel sketches, poetry, and books designed for children. He also wrote some fiction and political essays on the Crimean War. Some of Dickens' works are Oliver Twist, A Christmas Carol in Prose, dealings with the film Dombey and Sons, The Personal History of David Copperfield, Bleak House, Hard Times for These Times, Little Dorrit, A Tale of Two Cities, and Great Expectations, as well as Our Mutual Friend. He also founded the Daily News in 1846, which was the leading liberal newspaper. Unfortunately, he died on June 9, 1870, when he was in the middle of writing his last novel, The Mystery of Edmund Drood.
Wow, that's a lot of history to shake in there. What
Yes,
a great
it
man.
is.
I have to agree with you.
Very great.
Now I know everybody was super intrigued by the Tale of Two Cities, so if you check under your seat, you might have a copy under there.
A book? Under our seats?
Ah! Where is it? Where is it? Ah!
I didn't get one!
Now introducing Professor Olivia Nash.
Hi, I'm Olivia Nash. I am a professor at Oxford University. I personally think that Honore de Balzac is a lot better than Charles Dickens because even though he's not as well known, he contributed a lot more to our society for today. In fact, he was the pioneer for having this realism movement. He depicted life after Napoleon's rule of the entire of Europe. But he depicted life from all of social classes, not just one person, and he depicted not only the rich people and the poor people, but everybody. So Honoré de Balzac was the guy who started everything. He was the one who actually influenced people like Emile Zola, Marcel Proust, and even Charles Dickens, who gave away his free book over there. So we can see that even though Honoré de Balzac isn't as well known, his books have contributed. In fact, his most famous book is called The Human Comedy, and this Human Comedy is actually a collection of 100 books and short stories that he's written. And this book, he has contributed to his entire lifetime, and people still read it even today.
And that's all for today, guys.
Thank you so much for joining us.
And let's give a special thanks to all of our guests today.
This is Mayuri
And Kyla.
with a moment in history. See you next century.
Woo!
I got a rope.
Hi, everyone. This is a moment.
I will. Jesus!
Just look here, just look here.
Now, please welcome Dr. Price.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.